Big thanks to Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this episode.
Can you get that crispy, crunchy exterior on chicken in your barbecue or oven? So let's get one of our chickens out and find out. Crispy fried chicken, one of the best things that you can eat. Well, at least it's one of my favorite. Juicy chicken with a crunchy exterior, and then it falls apart in your mouth and all the juices and oh man, it's so fantastic. But what if you don't want to make it in your deep fryer, or you don't even own a deep fryer? You got an oven or you have a barbecue like that. We are going to make crispy fried chicken without frying it. Let's start by taking out a bowl. Put in 3 tablespoons of table salt, 3 tablespoons of paprika powder, 3 tablespoons of onion powder, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. I'm going to add a liter of buttermilk and mix the whole thing up. This is going to be the brine for my chicken. Time to add the drumsticks, and of course I want loads of chicken. Once they're in, I'm going to make sure they're submerged, and I'm going to top it off with a layer of cellophane, making sure that the air doesn't touch the brine or the chicken and covers the whole thing. That's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to prevent your refrigerator from smelling up with garlic and onion flavor, and it's going to protect your chicken marinade from drying out. And after an overnight marinade, your chicken looks like this. Look at that, the buttermilk became much thinner, which means moisture has been drawn out of the chicken, and in return we got the osmosis effect. So salt and flavor went into the chicken, a little bit of moisture got drawn out, but in the end your chicken is going to be much more tender, much more flavorful, and much more juicy. And I also have this to make sure that I get a perfect crust. I'll show you later on what that's all about. The first phase, of course, was adding flavor. The second thing that we did was make sure that the chicken becomes tender. And the third that we did is introduce a brine into the chicken to make sure that it stays juicy. But what we don't have yet is a crispy exterior. That's why we're going to make a breading station starting with flour. This is going to give the outside of the chicken a dry exterior. It's going to be the base layer of the crunch. The second part of a good breading station is the egg. This is going to be the glue that holds whatever is going to be your crispy exterior onto the chicken. I'm going to take a couple of eggs and whisk them up until they're completely loose in structure. And the third step of the breading station is the crispy exterior, for which I like to use panko, specifically panko, because in the Netherlands we got breadcrumbs and panko and stuff like that. But if you look at the texture of these breadcrumbs, they're going to give you that real nice crunchy experience. And that's why I love to work with this stuff. It's basically a guarantee to a crispy exterior. And if you're wondering why I'm not using seasoning in my breading station, it's because we have all the flavor already in the chicken. If I would add more salt and more spices, that chicken is not going to taste as good. It's going to be over salty. So therefore, no seasoning in the breading. I'm going to dip the chicken in the flour, followed by the egg, and eventually get that beautiful panko crust breadcrumb on. Then I'm going to hang the chicken up on the rack, and now you see why I love this setup. I've got my free hanging chicken. It just floats around, and this will allow the air to flow freely around the chicken, crispening up the outside. This is the perfect way. If you want to pick up one of these, I got the link down below in the video description or on our website PitmasterX.com. I'll be cooking on my Napoleon Prestige Phantom, the black edition. And this thing is an absolute monster. It creates so much heat. And that heat is what I need to get that crispy exterior. Now don't expect a fry without oil. So all it's going to do is dry out the outside and cook the inside of the chicken. It's going to be hot air circling around, crispening up some parts and making everything real crispy, but it's not going to have that same look as hot oil is going over the chicken. But all you need to do is close the lid and wait for the magic to happen. It's been about 10 minutes and the chicken is starting to crispen up on the outside. I'm getting a little bit of crunch there. But as you can see, the top is browning faster than the bottom is. And I got a little trick to make sure that these legs don't burn on one side and are undercooked at the other side. Here goes a little bit of aluminum foil. We're gonna put that on top like a little hat to restrict the airflow on the top of the chicken. I'm gonna close the lid. In the meantime, you and me, we're gonna make a chili honey sauce. I'm going to heat up my skottsberg pan over the side burner, and then I'm going to add a tablespoon of mustard seeds, a tablespoon of coriander seeds, a tablespoon of fennel seeds, 3 tablespoons of chili flakes. And by toasting these spices in the pan, they're going to release their ethereal oils and intensify the flavor by 10 times. Half the work's waiting, other half is cleaning up, and then a tiny fraction is doing the actual cooking. We're getting little pops in the spices. Look at that, it's like popcorn. See them opening up as they toast? And you gotta make sure you just keep wiggling them around so they don't burn, of course, the spices. And at the same time, you wanna have that experience of things popping, opening up. Those are the coriander seeds, like going pop, 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 opening up, releasing flavor. As they do, instantly, they're hitting my throat. This is exactly where we wanna have it. The chili flakes turn from red into a dark red, and everything has got that little toasty fragrance to it. And now it's time. That's what I'm talking about. This is gonna be spicy. Now it's time to, to bash it all up. Then into the hot pan goes a little bit of olive oil, the spices, and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm going to let that toast. The tomato puree is going to become sweet and all of the flavors are going to mix up together. Then in goes 1 tablespoon of salt and 500 grams of honey. Of course, I want to perform the taste test to see. Oh yeah, that is definitely gonna make my chicken spicy. When I came up with the idea for this sauce, I had spicy chicken in mind. And this sauce is definitely gonna make my chicken spicy. Half an hour went by and I just checked the core temperature of my chicken and we're at 75 degrees Celsius. They look like this. That is some good looking chicken. Of course, I wanna check the crust, which feels hard and crunchy. And with the right core temperature, this chicken is done. Whoa, look at that. Beautiful chickens. Crazy, crazy. You can see that the meat is starting to tear from the top of the leg. And that's because the meat there is thinner, so it needs less time to cook. While the thickest part of the chicken is perfectly cooked. So that's the trick. Measure in the thick part if your chicken is done. And if it is, then all you need to do is wait until the chicken is rested, which is going to take about 5 minutes or so. Oh. Whoa, man, that looks so fantastic. I can tell you a lot more about chicken and spicy sauces, but I'd rather just eat my chicken. Oh, boy. This is super, super tasty, but just look at how tender and juicy that chicken is. That came from brining. Now, if we listen to that crisp from the skin, super, super crispy. So there you have it. This is how you make crispy chicken in a barbecue or in an oven. Woo-hoo.